Hello, wanderers. It's literature time with Mom Teresa. And for today's video, we are going to tackle about a well-known writer. So, let's start. We're going to know more about Langston Hughes, who is born on 1902 and died on 1967. A busboy who became a well-known writer. Sounds interesting, right? So let's start. So let us define first what is Harlem because it will be discussed on this topic. So Harlem is a neighborhood in Upper Manhattan, New York City. Originally, it was a Dutch village. It was predominantly occupied by Jewish and Italian Americans in the 19th century, but African American began to reside then. Later on, Harlem Renaissance or the new Negro movement emerged. So it was a movement that fights racism in their time. Okay, let's know more about Langston Hughes. So his real name is James Mercer Langston Hughes, who is born on February 1, 1902 in Joplin, Missouri. So his mother is Carol Langston, who is a school teacher, and his father is James Nathaniel Hughes, who practiced law. So Hughes was an American poet, social activist, novelist, fiction writer, a playwright writer, and a columnist. He was a central figure in the Harlem Renaissance. Remember the movement that fight against racism a while ago. So, the flowering of Black intellectual, literary, and artistic life that took place in the 1920s in a number of American cities, of course, particularly Harlem. So, after Langston's birth, his father abandoned their family and filed a divorce later. His mother needs to work, so he was raised by his grandmother. But when he reached 13, his grandmother died. So he moved to Lincoln, Illinois to live with his mother and, of course, the husband of his mother. It was in Illinois when he started to write poems. Later on, the family settled to Ohio. It was during high school when he got his inspiration to write from the Carl Sandburg and Walt Whitman works. By then, his drive for writing poems and short stories developed. During this time, his mother and his stepfather moved to Chicago, and Hughes stayed in Ohio to complete his high school education. His poetry skills gets even better, and his teacher commended his writings, and they encouraged him to study at Columbia University. Wow. Beforehand, Langston went to his father, expecting that his father would provide for his studies. But at first, Langston's father was astounded to hear about his son's literary preference because he wanted him to study engineering instead. So, due to Langston's retaliation, he submitted few of his poems in the Crisis magazine, and it was published. By then, upon reading his son's published poems, James changed his mind and sent Langston to Columbia University in 1921. At the university, he was greatly influenced by the Harlem Renaissance. After attending Columbia University in 1921 to 22, he left schooling and he explored Harlem, the place that we are talking about a while ago. He worked as a marine steward for survival, but he never ceased to write and publish poetry. You know, when you want to do something, there's nothing that can hinder you. Okay. And in 1925, he worked as a personal assistant of Carter G. Woodson, a renowned historian, but because he had to devote plenty of time in this job, he decided to resign. So he focused on writing poetry while working as a busboy at a local park hotel. And then one day, he left three of his poems in the table where Basha Lindsay was dining. So Lindsay presented this poem in one of his poetry reading, and by then, Langston's career was launched. What a coincidence, right? Or is it fate? Okay, you studied at Lincoln University through scholarship and graduated with BA degree in the year 1929. He traveled back to New York and joined the Harlem movement. He went on writing literary pieces that portray the African American experiences which he observed in Harlem. He even wrote a poem entitled Harlem, pertaining to the place that he was exploring. No wonder why he was labeled as the Harlem Renaissance poet. Nice. Unfortunately, Hughes got complications from prostate cancer and died in New York City on May 22, 1967. But in his memory, his residence at 20 East 127th Street has been given landmark status by the New York City Preservation Commission, and that street was renamed as Langston Hughes Place. Wow. So this is one of Langston Hughes' poem. It was entitled Harlem, and it says like this. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it sink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sucks like heavy load. Or does it explode? Alright, here are 10 of Yu's famous literary works. The Negro Speaks of Rivers in 1921, Mother to Son in 1922, Dreams in 1922, The Weary Blues in 1925, Po Boy Blues in 1926, Let America Be America Again in 1936, Life is Fine in 1949, I Too Sing America 1945, Harlem 1951, and Brotherly Love in 1956. But actually, the literary piece that I really know is the Thank You Mom story. Yeah. You can check it out for yourself if you don't know yet that literature. So let us end this topic by Langston Hughes' a line. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Langston's just reminding us if we have dreams, then fight for it and work for it. Alright, so here are the source of this topic. You can check it out for yourself. And let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please consider subscribing and also like and share the video. Thank you and God bless.